A user reported something broken on our app. I opened Cursor. I figured this would be like a quick fix. It was not. And what happened next taught me something about AI debugging that many people are not talking about. I was working with a third-party integration, something in our production environment, nothing exotic, but a user flagged that something wasn't working on their end. Nothing catastrophic, but it needed to be fixed for sure. So naturally, I was like, okay, let me use Cursor for this. This felt like exactly like the kind of problem that it was built for. Trace the issue, find the source, suggest a fix, and like pretty clean, pretty straightforward. Or so I thought. The first couple rounds were pretty promising. Cursor was narrowing down the issue, pointing me in reasonable directions. Suggestions made sense. Okay. I figured I'd had this wrapped up pretty quickly along with Cursor. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. But that's the thing about AI tools. You know, when they're working, they feel magical. You start to trust them. You lean into them. But after a few more rounds of back and forth and back, something started to feel off. The solutions Cursor kept landing on were plausible. Like technically they weren't wrong, but like they weren't fixing anything. We'd try something, it wouldn't work, regroup, try again, you know, and I started to notice a pattern. So the integration that I was working with, it didn't have great documentation. And that's what I found out later after working with Cursor. And what documentation did exist, it wasn't really up to date. So here's the thing. Cursor wasn't being dumb. It was just doing the best that it could with what it had and what it was trained to do and what it was trained on. But if the documentation it learned from is outdated, you're going to get outdated answers and results, but very confident ones. That's the part that gets you. It doesn't say, hey, I'm not sure about this. It gives you an answer that sounds solid and you try it and it doesn't work. And you try another one and then that doesn't work either. And then, so that's when I realized I needed to change my approach. So I didn't close Cursor. I didn't give up on it. I just changed how I was using it. Instead of asking it to solve the whole problem, I started giving it better raw materials to work with. I added more logs so it could see exactly what was happening at runtime, not just what the docs said it should be. Then I started using curl requests to test the integration directly. I wanted to strip away all the assumptions and just hit the endpoint and see what actually comes back from that. And then I'd bring those real specific results back into Cursor. So that shift from, hey, let's fix this, to here's exactly what I'm seeing. Help me interpret it. That's what moved things forward for me. We got there eventually. It just required me to be more of an active participant in the process instead of like handing the entire wheel over to Cursor and letting it do all the driving. AI debugging tools are genuinely powerful, as most of you probably know. But I use Cursor every day, but they do have a blind spot. And that blind spot is sometimes documentation. So if the integration that you're working with is niche or newer than the training data or just poorly maintained, the AI is working with a map that might be out of date, and it doesn't always know that. So here's what I'd tell you. Don't ditch the tool when it hits a wall. Change your inputs. Add more logs, direct requests, real data from the actual runtime behavior, not just context from the code base. Give it something concrete to work with, and it'll do a much better job. This experience didn't make me trust Cursor less. It just made me a smarter user of it. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm back making videos after a couple of years away, and I'll be sharing a lot more of what it's actually like working in tech right now. AI, career, money, all of it. The real stuff, not just the highlights of things. So if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe. And if you liked this style of video, let me know. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.